What's going on, my people? Welcome to another episode of the Stop the Count podcast. Today, we will be talking about some news and upcoming events that are happening. There isn't the same amount of action as there was last week, but at least we're getting something. So, there's not a UFC card this week, but there is a Bellator and Risen fight card. I'm not really too familiar with anybody on these cards, so I won't be talking about them. It is the start of the PFL regular season, and it will be a card with featherweights and light heavyweights. On this PFL card, the best featherweight in the world is fighting, that being former PFL champion Movlidkhaybulaev. He is a sparring partner of UFC champion Islam Makhachev. He was not able to defend his championship last year due to a knee injury, and reigning champion Brendanboughnane is fighting former UFC title challenger Marlonmoraes. Now, as for the light heavyweight champion, Robertwilkinson will be fighting former UFC title challenger Thiagosantos. There are also some other UFC fighters on the card. I won't get too deep into it. Now, the PFL is in its regular season, and though the regular season goes based off of a point standings, it's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss, with you being able to get extra points for stoppages, 3 points for a first round stoppage, 2 points for a second round stoppage, and 1 point for a third round stoppage. From here, it goes to the playoffs. Next, we'll get into the top rank boxing card. I feel as if it's a card filled with great up and coming prospects. There is a couple I would like to mention. The two who I really like that are on this card is Abdullahmason and Emilianovargas. As most of you may know, Emiliano is Fernando Vargas' son. But Abdullah isn't the only boxer in his family, as he does have a couple of his brothers in the pro ranks as well. There's more great prospects on here, but I just wanted to mention these two. The co-main event for this card is Joet Gonzalez versus Jose Enrique Vivas in the featherweight division. This is possibly a fight where the winner will be going up against the winner of the main event. I also think this is going to be the best fight of the night, as both of these fighters are just going to go at each other on the inside. Now, Joet has probably the worst luck out of all the fighters I've seen. His first opportunity at a title was against one of the best pound-for-pound fighters right now in Shakur Stevenson. His next opportunity at a title was against Emmanuel Navarrete, as he lost by a close decision. Some people think he should have won. His next opportunity for a number one contender spot match was against Isaacdogboe. That fight was extremely close, as he lost by split decision. I personally had Joet winning this fight. Now, Vivas does have a loss on his record, that being to Eduardo Baez, in a great fight in which there was more than 1,500 punches thrown by both fighters. There is no reason, in my opinion, to break down this fight, as I feel they're just really going to go at each other on the inside. And for who I believe will win, I believe Joet will win by decision. It will be close, as I do feel as if Joet would start the fight off trying to box with him a little bit, but ultimately he'll go back into his old habits of wanting to get on the inside and trade shot for shot. Now, as for the main event, it's a great fight between Robeisy versus Isaacdogboe. I'll start off by talking about Isaacdogboe. He currently has a record of 24 wins and 2 losses, having 15 knockout wins and 1 knockout loss. His only 2 losses being to the previously mentioned Emmanuel Navarrete. Their first fight was a close decision win for Navarrete, while the second, Isaac's corner threw the towel in probably a little too late. He has had many close fights, but he has been able to sneak out the win. Now, I see Isaac as having a very good jab. He does also start to tire in the later rounds due to him wasting so much energy in the beginning. and him being so muscular doesn't really help him at all. He does a pretty good job boxing and staying patient, and I feel as if he doesn't do the best when he's going back and his opponents are pressuring him. Now, I'll talk about his opponent, Robeisy Ramirez. He has a record of 11 wins and 1 loss, that lone loss being in his pro debut where he was dropped and lost the fight by split decision. He is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, defeating great fighters on his way to those gold medals like Mickey Conlon, AJ Akhmadaliev, and even Shakur Stevenson. A true great amateur career for Robeisy Ramirez. Now, I see Robeisy as a very patient fighter, although I do believe he tries to walk his opponent's back. Ramirez is also a very smart fighter. He does a great job mixing up his punches, and he's not the most active fighter, but he's usually the more efficient fighter. I also feel as if he will wait to try to tire out his opponent so that he will be able to turn it up, and he does have the power that could change the fight at any moment. This is very beneficial for him, as I said before, as Isaac does tire out in his fights. So I feel the plan for Basie should just be to try to stay in the fight in the beginning, which might be tough for Ramirez as he does get hit a lot, and wait until those later rounds to really turn it up on Isaac. Now, as for who I have winning the fight, I believe Robeisy will come out victorious by knockout. It will be a tough fight as Isaac is a very tough fighter, but I believe Robeisy will be able to do this. This is a fight between two great people that have had to overcome so much to get to this moment. It will truly be a great fight. Next, I will talk a little bit about the DAZN boxing card. It's a typical DAZN card. At least it has a couple names on it. The biggest being former heavyweight champion Anthonyjoshua. He will be facing Jermainefranklin. This is not in any way an easy fight for AJ, but I do believe AJ will win by knockout. They are both coming back from losing in their previous fights, although this will be AJ's first fight with new trainer Derek James. There are some great fights and fighters on this card. I only mention a couple, mostly prospects. Some of those being felixcash, he's an undefeated middleweight. Austinwilliams, another undefeated middleweight. A fight between these two will be big one day overseas, in my opinion. Another one is a fighter who just fought 3 weeks ago. That fighter is Campbellhatton. I still believe he has so much potential. Now we'll talk about some news. I did mention in my last video about Top Rank wanting to match up Raymond Murataya with Jeremiah Nakatila. It looks like it will be happening on May 20th, opening up the main card for Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. Now getting into some UFC news, it looks like if Li Jiangliang has had to pull out of his fight against Michael Chiesa at UFC 287 due to a spinal injury. It is being said that Michael has already rejected multiple replacements, so we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens. Also, a Bellator fight was announced. It is Sergio Pettis versus Patricio Pitbull for the Bantamweight World Championship. A great fight as Pitbull goes in search for his third division title in Bellator. If he is able to get this, it will be such a great moment for Bellator, in my opinion. Thank you guys for staying until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Twitter at StopTheCount10. See you guys later.